Hello and welcome to MalMakes. Today we're going to be painting the Nowhere Islands from Mother 3. This is the full version. If you're interested in the time-lapse, you can click on the card here. Otherwise, let's get started. Mother 3 came out in April 2006, so I thought it was appropriate to do a Mother 3 painting in April. Now, there's some locations I really love in the game, and I thought it would be cool to paint them, but I didn't really want to do anything super spoilery. So I thought it would be appropriate to kind of do the entire world just kind of from a far distance. So I'm painting all of the Nowhere Islands. And because I've been traveling lately, I didn't have my sketchbook, but I did have my iPad, so I used my pencil and I drew my sketch for this piece. So I'll just pop that up here now so it looks best instead of the glary mess that is showing the iPad. And this is what I'm going to be painting today. I'm going to start with my background, working with that light blue in the sky, then the clouds, then the water, and then the islands. I've drawn a horizon line to keep my colors for the sky flat. If I didn't do that, I'm liable to maybe tilt everything and put way too much blue going down this way. So I kind of have that there to give myself a visual indicator of where everything is going to go. Now I'm starting with some titanium white, and I'm going to lay that right here along my horizon line, making sure I fill all of this in. Now the clouds are going to go here later, but this is just to help me blend my light blue sky into a lighter blue sky. I've redrawn in my horizon line, and I'm starting to block in my clouds with a dark blue-gray color. Now it's not too dark, it's just kind of more of a light gray with some blue in it, but I'm going to fill that in all the way across here inside of these lines that I've drawn to kind of contain the clouds to this part of the sky. Once I've filled in enough of this dark color, I'm going to add some more white to it, and then I'm going to add more and more white towards the top left side of each of these clouds to build up some texture and highlight. The next thing to work on is the ocean itself. I'm going to mix up a lot of this color just so I can kind of work on the front part of the island after the island is done, but I want to get this down first. And the reason is if I paint my island and get that all the way done and then work on the ocean, I may bring more light blue down to here, and on this side I may not bring it down as far, and it won't be even here on the canvas. So I want to get that ocean down first and then paint the island on top of it. That way I'll have it down the same distance on each side. But in order to do that, I want to remark in my horizon line with my chalk pastel and ruler, making sure it's the same distance all the way across the canvas. And then I'm going to lay some painter's tape down right on that line to make sure I have a nice, perfect horizon line. I'm starting with that light blue, and I'm just going to lay it down here along the horizon line and blend it into the empty canvas like this. Once I have a good coverage of this, I'm going to take my darker blue and blend it up into this lighter blue. The water turned out really nice, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove this tape. And I found that pulling it as parallel to the surface as possible, like this, is the best way to remove the painter's tape from a canvas. I'm blocking this in with a bluish violet color, and I've toned down the intensity with just a little bit of yellow just so it's not so bright, and I'm going to fill in the entire thing with this color. Now in the end, very little will be this color, but I do kind of want to put it down here so I still have it as my shadow for all of this. I've drawn in all of these detail parts up here with chalk. Now all of these are going to be various shades of violet. Down here I haven't drawn anything in yet because it's going to be green, so I'm just worrying about the violet so far. On my palette I've mixed up all of the 5 colors I need. So this is my base color, this deepest shadow color here, and it's really only in a couple spots here on both of these mountains. Then I have kind of a base shadow and a lighter base shadow, and these are mostly going to be kind of for the edges here that I haven't painted in yet, but I mixed them up anyway because I kind of wanted to compare them to the deepest shadow color and then my base ground color. Now this lighter purple here is going to be the majority of this. So that's going to kind of be the color I fill in the most of on top of these mountains. And then I have my light base ground, and that's for areas like the desert here, the very tops of these mountains, just to kind of fill those in. Now on my palette I do not have the snow colors for the mountain yet, but that's going to be the next thing I worry about. I still have some purple to work on, namely the vertical part here that rises up out of the water, but I've gone ahead and drawn it in anyway. And then otherwise I kind of just have some green to do and then some stuff down in the water. But I really want to get this mountain done first because this super darkness over here is kind of throwing everything off visually for me. So my next color is a light blue-gray color, and it's a lot lighter than my little test right here. And I'm going to lay that down for the whole mountain. I want to kind of make this look a little bit more realistic, kind of with some of the shading I've been doing. So I'm going to lay this dark shadow down first, and it's going to be my snow shadow. I like the shapes I'm starting to get with all of the little ridges and mountains in this piece, but I think the base purple is too dark and the light purple is too light, so I want something in between to kind of lighten up all of the highlights and some of the base areas of this. So I'm just going to take my number 4 base ground, which is this color here, and my number 5, which is a lighter version of that, which I have right here in the desert, and combine them to make a medium tone color that I can kind of put down over some of these spaces to make it just generally lighter. Before I move on to the greenery, I want to do all of these vertical pieces here that raise this up from the water. So I'm just using some of my same purples from this, and I'm going to fill them in piece by piece. So I'm thinking about kind of where my highlights are on the mountain, on all of the rocks, on the clouds, and that's kind of where I'm judging where the highlights are going to go. For example, this piece kind of sticks out and all my highlights are like on the left side. So this piece is going to be a bit lighter here, but around this little corner where it kind of gets tucked in behind the rest of the island, it's going to be darker. So I'm kind of just making those calls as I fill in all of this vertical part. I've drawn in everywhere that's going to have green and everywhere where there's going to be dark blue here on the edge of the islands. Now I'm going to mix up kind of a blue-green color and just add that everywhere where the green is going. This green is definitely too dark, but I want it to be dark because I'm going to mix up a lighter color and just tap in the indication of some trees being there instead of just this flat green color. But while that's drying, I can go ahead and start to fill in the shadow here in the water. So I have kind of a darker blue, darker than this, with more ultramarine blue and more cyan. And I'm going to fill in underneath all of the vertical part of the stone here, just to give the island a shadow in the water. The next thing I need to do is kind of separate the land from the water. And I'm going to do that by adding a water line, and I'm using the same light blue I had back here, and just kind of laying it down right where the land meets the water. The water line is all marked in, so I'm just going to take a smaller brush and start to tap in some highlights here on these trees. Now I'm trying to just generally lighten them up because they are very dark, but I don't want to fill it all with this new color. I kind of want to keep it a little bit separate so I have indications of texture. And we're done! We have the Nowhere Islands from Mother 3. If you're interested in this piece, you could buy a poster or a phone case, or bid on this original canvas. There's links down below. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon. You can find out more at supportmal.com. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of MalMakes, and I'll see you again here for another video game painting.